Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, and this is a live podcast shown around the world how to fight CPS and stop taking our children. So it's a warm welcome, and I know a lot of you have been struggling with CPS, the Child Protection, what I call system, the Child Protection System. It's a branch of social service that is entrusted with to protect our children from neglect and abuse. And to help families in need in the areas of food, clothing, shelter, medical and educational, and getting a job. Also, if they need to break the family apart, it's supposed to be family reunification because they found from studies the best parents are the biological parents to raise the children. So they need to make amends and so forth. So this podcast is shown twice a day. It's recorded twice a day. I'm live when I go on, and then there are over 600 podcasts of me. I've been doing this since October 2023. And you're perfectly welcome to watch all of them. There's a lot of interesting things. We digress a little bit. We talk about things, topics in CPS and things like ICWA and the 3-8 motion and etc. there. So I'm here to help you. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a loving family man who cares about you people, who really want to help you, I've been married for 31 years, and I have 6 children. 3 are older and 3 are younger. And unfortunately, I got involved in CPS at a critical time in my life when I was 60 years old. It was terrible. I'd lost my job through no fault of my own. And then, unbeknownst to me, laypersons were calling in and alleging that me and my wife weren't taking care of our children. All kinds of accusations came up. We later found out that it was her parents and her 3 sisters and her brother. And once a week, they'd report something different. This went on for 5 years until finally the Child Protection System got a hold of the local police and had the sheriff nail me down to bring me back to my home to open up my home so they could see what they could find. There was nothing at that time. They had allegations, but they couldn't see anything. And over those 5 years, I answered every week to them. I met with them outside my home. I met with them in my home. I showed them my home. There's nothing they could find anything wrong, but they were determined. CPS is very corrupt. They're one of the corruptest agencies I know, worse than IRS. And once the allegations come in, and laymen or lay people, 50% of them may be true, but the other 50% is not true. And they use it as retaliation, like supposedly a divorce is going on. They want to make the parents, one parent make the other parent look bad, or a neighbor doesn't like the way that you're growing your vegetation on his yard, so he'll make up a story and call it in. Or maybe your dog's barking too noisy and he'll make up a story and call it in. So it's really ridiculous. The second kind of people that make the allegations are your professionals, and 90% of the time they know because they've been trained. Those are your teachers and policemen and firemen, principals and counselors and caregivers. Anybody that works with children is required by law to learn how to recognize neglect and abuse, and then if you see the signs, to call it in. And because they have that wonderful knowledge of what it is, they're a lot better. But the people that seem to get you in a lot of trouble are your neighbors. You may be making too much noise and they want to retaliate. It's sad, but the Child Protection System does not distinguish between guilty or not guilty. When they call in, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. Any other court of law, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But in Child Protection System cases, you're guilty. So anyway, this podcast is transmitted twice a day, 7 days a week. I come on at 10 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time and 7 o'clock at night for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time. And I like to do my shows as most informative and also as participation. There are 4 ways you can participate in my podcast. Now, on Sunday, which is tomorrow, I come on 2 hours early at 8 o'clock in the morning because I have church with my family. So on Sunday, every Sunday, I do my show at 8 o'clock. And then during the football season or some other times on Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, I'll have a different time there. My son is playing football. I'd like to support him. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know. But if you want to subscribe to me, please do. Just check the subscribe button below. Also, if you want to be notified when my shows are on, hit the notification. And the first way that you're going to participate in my podcast is just by finding this room. You found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I'm transmitting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. And so when you're in here, you can do several things. One, you can do emojis like smiley faces, thumbs up, and hearts. Also, you can send me stars. And based on what you're getting from here, you can send the number of stars. So I love to get those. Now, you may want to do more than just listen or take notes. You may want to ask a question or text a comment. So to text or to write a comment or a question, you just text it. There's a window with YouTube that lets you do that. And so it's very important when you're typing in the comments or the questions that it pertains to CPS, the Child Protection System. There's a lot of topics we can talk about, but it's very important to do the CPS, the Child Protection System questions. All I ask you is to please show your name. And you're probably saying, well, why I need to show my name? My name's already there. Well, a lot of you have your name, the regular names like Mary, Judy, John, Bill, Peggy, Debbie, Bob, Kathy, whatever. Those are great names. But some of you are creative with other names like psychedelic hippos or jumping elephants or dancing butterflies or gone with the wind or look who's talking. Or anyway, what you're doing is you're creating at your Facebook page, you're creating, or your YouTube, some type of interest drawn towards you. But I appreciate you put your first name, no last name, followed by the city or the county that you have your case in, the city or the county. Now, all the cases are handled by the county, and then they're reported to the state. The state gets its money from the federal government. Liberate gets their money and gives it to the county. So if you don't want to give your city, that's fine. Just show the county. Now, I mentioned country. The reason why I mentioned country is worldwide. I have people from outside the United States that have questions, that comment or text me questions on here. I'm open to everybody that has a CPS concern, a question, a comment, whatever it may be. I don't want to single out anybody because I know how important it is and how hard you're struggling, because there isn't a manual of how they operate in CPS. It's a very loose structured organization in the United States. It's very corrupt. They're not transparent. They lie and they take your money. It's a money-making business. It's $1 trillion a year. They need to make money, so they give out bonuses and incentives and so forth. And so you got to be aware of that, because these social workers, you can't trust them. You can't trust them. Now, usually this time I have a couple of my regulars that come into my room, and we've been having some trouble with Facebook with the connections and notifications. But sometimes people come in, sometimes people don't. So I'm going to see if I can get Now, the first person I'm contacting, her name is Natalie. She's West Hollywood, California, and she has a daughter and son. She has two daughters, and she wants them to meet her son. And it's been a complicated affair of hers. She lost her rights. Her son is living with her uncle, and her daughters were adopted by a foster care family. And right now, her uncle and her don't see eye to eye, so she doesn't have any touch with her son. And the foster care people don't like her. So she's desperately meeting her children. So I just want to let you know about that. The second person I try to get a hold of is Faye, and she's from Richmond, Kentucky, and Kentucky is all full of problems. It's the number one state that has a bad case of CPS, and just Thursday, a judge was shot by a sheriff in his chambers. It's a tragic thing because it's gotten so point that CPS is very corrupt. It's very, 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 very corrupt. Now, I was talking to you about the countries texting in. So far, the countries that have come in so far have been Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, and then up in the Middle East, an Arabic country, which I don't speak Arabic, so I don't know which country it was. Then the continent of Africa. I've had several countries there. I've had Liberia on the west coast, northwest of Africa, that has text comments in. And then I drop down and I have the western province of South Africa that have done so. And then Rwanda, which is Central East Africa near Lake Victoria. And Rwanda is a terrible civil war in 1994 where over 1 million people were murdered and slaughtered and killed, and over 500 women, females, were raped, and AIDS was introduced to wipe out the race. It was a terrible civil war. Then we have Mozambique, which is south of Somalia, on the east coast, north of South Africa, across from Madagascar. And then going to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond, I've had North America, and I've had several provinces in Canada, British Columbia, Alberta, Vancouver. I even have Indian tribe, the First Nation, they call their Indian people. They're called the First Nation. And in the United States, our Indian people are called Native American Indians, and they were the first immigrants to settle in there. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello, who's this?
Laura.
Hi, glad to meet you, Laura. I'll be right with you. I'm finished
Okay.
I'm finished my introductions, and I haven't got to my phone number, but I'm glad you called in. Laura, what city or county or state you from?
Indiana and Spencer County.
Okay, Spencer County, Indiana, and that is great.
Yes.
Well, we'll talk about your case in a couple minutes here. Okay, as I was saying, is that we've had all 50 states call or text in here, so I'd love to have your comments there, including Washington, D.C. Then south of the border, I've had Mexico, and then in South America, I've had Guyana, which is east of Venezuela, on the east coast of South America, north of Brazil. Then across the Pacific, I've had Australia, and I've had several states there in Australia on the Gold Coast, and then Melbourne in the state of Victoria. So that's the international realm of people calling in and texting in and so forth. Now, make sure you're complete with your case. It's important that you tell me, what's your family makeup? Are you a married couple? Are you a husband, wife? Are you boyfriend, girlfriend? Are you lovers? Are you partnership? And then also, are you both parents involved? Are you a single parent raising the children? Are the parents the same parents for all the children? And then the ages of the children and the sexes of the children. Furthermore, I'd like to know the details, neglect or abuse that you allege that you've done, and then I like to know how your children were taken. Were they taken with your permission, or did they have a court order to take them? Those kinds of things. And lastly, if you can tell me where you're at on your case, that's very important. When you text in or phone in, you do that. Now, that is the second way. A third way to interact with this podcast is to be a guest in our show. And our show producer, her name is Grace. She's our show producer. She'll help you get on the show. All you need to do is pick one of my shows. I gave you the days and the times, either Sunday or Monday or Wednesday, either morning or evening, and an email to her. Her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And she will tell you what to do on the show. We don't allow smoking or eating, and we don't use the first names of children, judges, or social workers. But she'll tell you other things about lighting and sound and how to do the best thing to do on that one. So the fourth way is a phone call. And right now we have someone that called in, which is great. I'm glad she did. My phone number is 626-698-0990. And you can talk to me during my showtime hours. Before my showtime or after my showtime, I can't talk, but you can leave a message. I will text you the show hours. So that's 626-698-0990. So I'd like to go back to our special guest on the phone. I think she said her name is Laura.
Yes.
And you're from Indiana. And what can I do? Is there a question or comment you want to make? What would you like to me?
I have a question.
All right.
I have a question. I'm the grandmother, and my son and daughter-in-law had the baby taken away from them, and it's placed with her mother. And her mother has in their head thinking that if they sign over guardianship, that CPS will not be involved anymore, and that the baby could go home to them.
Not necessary. That's not true. But go ahead.
They got him taken away because somebody called, I guess from the school, saying that he had a bruise on his head, on his forehead, which he did. He's 5 years old, and he has stag 1 and autism. So he's rowdy.
He's a special needs kid. He's a special needs kid. Go ahead.
Yes. Stag 1 is very rare, and they can't even say how he's going to grow up to be.
I know. Yep.
So,
now, how did it start off?
They rip him out of the...
Yeah, the allegations were first made by the school. Go ahead.
Yes, they was made by the school. So CPS worker came, and then she had a cop with her. Me and my son was at work because we worked at the same place.
Okay.
My son has PINS, which is seizures caused from stress.
Okay.
And he smokes weed.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when they came and got the CPS came and said they was taking the baby, they had a court order because there was marijuana in the house, which was in a lockbox up on a dresser with a great big mirror. They had to climb on the dresser to get the lockbox.
Well, before we go much further there, my question is, you said they had a court order. Did they show the warrant to the parents?
Well, I don't think they showed a warrant or anything until after my son fell out in a seizure, and then the ambulance drug him out by his ankles and sedated him and took him to the hospital. It's a mess.
Yeah, it sounds like a mess, and I know you love your son. And luckily, well, is his wife her mother, is she a good woman or is she bad?
Well, I really can't answer that because she at first I thought she was gonna be good with this all, and now she's showing something like with this guardianship, telling them stuff that she don't even know is true.
Well, yeah, the reason why CPS, see, first of all, when CPS gets them into custody, and they were not in danger. That child was not in danger unless the pot was out and the child was ingesting it or smoking it. Okay, so they weren't in immediate danger. And I don't know. A lot of times they say they have a warrant, but they don't have a warrant to take a child. So your son and your mother, your son and his wife, probably were not aware of what was going on. Now, the reason why her mother wants a part of that is that she's getting paid money. See, the whole thing behind CPS is money. It's $1 trillion business. As long as the case is open, money flows in. Now, in Orange County, where I had my case, they get $20,000 per child per month. That's a lot of money. That was $60,000 for 3 of my children that were stolen and trafficked into foster care. Now, I'm glad that it's with a family member, but sometimes family members are bad and they try to retaliate or to manipulate things. And I don't know why.
Yeah, I think her whole thing is she's trying to get my son and his wife to split up.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. Here's my thing, and I don't know all the details, but when did this start?
Okay.
I mean, when did this start?
This started in April, okay?
Of this year?
Let me clarify this.
Of this year?
In April.
Okay.
Of this year, okay. The baby was placed back into the home, and they had to go for a drug test, and it came back that the wife was positive for methamphetamine, which was not true. We got a hair follicle same day that they ripped him back out of the home. Was this your drug test?
Was this their drug test or a drug test done by CPS? Because
the first one was.
Yeah.
Then we went.
The first one was a drug test by their insurance company, or was it by the CPS?
Yes. The first one was from CPS.
Well, that's where the mistake is made, because first of all, you don't have to take the drug test. You don't have to talk to Child Protection Services. You don't have to give up a child unless they have a legal warrant.
This was when the case was done open, and he came back home, and it was in whatever the paperwork was to the safety plan.
Well, that's something that's done additional.
To come home and do random drug testing.
Right. That's part of the thing that CPS does. Safety plans are corrupt too, and you got to be careful signing them, because there's things there you don't have to agree to, and you can strike them out in a safety plan. Now, the call was made.
We went immediately after.
Yeah,
got a hair follicle test.
Before the hair follicle test, can I talk at the very beginning? Now, in school, the teacher noses this mark. So when did CPS come? The next day or the same day?
Like a week and a half later.
Okay, a week and a half later. Now, when they came, were they allowed to be in the house, or were they told to leave and that they're going to talk to their attorney?
Well, me and my son was at work, and Katie, or my daughter-in-law, calls me and says that CPS is there with a cop and that they're going to search the house. Okay,
here's where you need to stop right there, because they didn't know. Your daughter-in-law didn't know. They can't search unless they have a warrant, and they have to have a reasonable cause to have a warrant. The problem was they think that the police.
I told her not to let them search.
Right.
And me and my son left work and went to his house. And we walk in and my son says, "Do not search my house. You do not have permission to search my house. I want a court order, a warrant, something." And then he fell out in a seizure.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Now, Indiana, can I ask a question? Is it against the law to smoke marijuana?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Every state's different.
Yeah, every state's different.
Right.
And he smoked it for the medical reasons.
Well, I know that, but if it's not legal, you got to have that. So you never want to smoke it in front of the child, and you don't want to have it out in the open.
Never was it even brought out when the baby was home.
Right. So what they did is they're building a case against you because they want money. They want money. You have to understand, it's $1 trillion business. They pay their social workers bonuses and stipends for keeping the case open. They probably have told the mother-in-law that she will get compensated if she wants to be a guardianship. And so they are not recognizing that your son has special needs. There's nothing wrong with having disabilities, and they should be afforded all protection by the law. But somehow CPS orchestrates the police, and the police overstep their boundaries. They don't know the law either. There's things called your constitutional and your civil rights, and you're supposed to be represented by an attorney, and you can stop everything by saying, "I can't go any further. Time out. I need to speak to my attorney. My attorney and I will get back to you." That's how you stop it on day one. If they were in there. And
they have two. They both have a different attorney, one for each of them.
Well, that's the court-appointed attorneys.
Small county.
That is the court-appointed attorneys, and the court-appointed attorneys. They're not
in their pocket.
They're not dependency law. They're criminal law. They have a caseload of 30 or more clients, and they're not going to fight for your son or your daughter-in-law. They're not going to fight for them. They're going to do whatever is easy in the court. They're friends of the court. They're friends of the social services.
They're in each other's pocket.
And they're into with the judge. All is cahoots. The bailiff, the judge, the clerk, and the social workers, and the social workers' attorneys, and the court-appointed attorneys for your child and for the two parents. All of them all holding hands, warm, fuzzy feelings. So you're not going to get a fair shake. What I mean by getting an attorney, you have to get a real attorney, one that you have to pay money.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't have money to pay for it. I know that. I had to sell my money. Yeah, I know. And you got to do the best you can, but you got to keep that recognizing there. But what could have done, and it's Monday night quarterback, it's hindsight, but what you could have done is not let them in the house, and you could have asked them to leave, and that you will have your attorney talk to them, and then they could have gone out and find an attorney. And maybe they could get a credit line, or maybe they could find a pro bono, or find an attorney that they can afford, okay? Because what's wrong is that the wrong kind of attorneys are representing the couple. They are criminal attorneys, very little training, very cheaply paid, brand new, and they're not going to know what's called dependency law. Juvenile family dependency law is totally different than criminal law. For instance, you don't have a jury in dependency or family or juvenile. I think you should have a jury. But they don't. You are guilty until you're proven innocent in dependency law.
Yes.
And so it's really works against you. And they're going to use things like the parents are mentally retarded, and they can't take care of their children. They're going to try to bust the parents. Why? They want that green dollar. They want the $1 trillion business. And that is passed on because from the federal government to the state, no one is watching where the money's being spent. In fact, right now in Richmond, Kentucky, there's over $1 million unaccounted for, and one person has been charged for $400,000 of it for embezzling funds. So I'm telling you, there's no board of governors, there's no superintendents or supervisors or anything that watches the money, how it's spent, or even watch the child protection system, how it works. Now, I call the child protection system all the different acronyms. Like in Indiana, what is the child protection system called?
What is what? I'm sorry.
In Indiana, what do they call the people that protected children from neglect and abuse? What is it called?
DCFS.
All right. See, they have a different name. So when I say CPS, I mean that act.
Yes, it used to be. Indiana used to be CPS, but they changed it at some
I know.
point.
Anyway, when I talk about it, I don't call it the CPS. I don't call it the Children Protection Service. I call it the Children Protection Systems, because every state will have a different name. So you're not born with a book that tells you how to fight with CPS. You don't know, for instance, I have a rule, it's number 3, that you don't answer the door, no matter who it is. Why?
Yes.
It's because too many people are being shot point blank and killed when you open the door. It's nothing to do with CPS. It's just your life is on the line. It may be a crook. It may be a bad person. It may be a policeman that is cock hungry, meaning he's got his gun and he sits there and cocks the gun and he shoots point blank. So it's really bad. It's really bad.
With these CPS workers, I can't even go out and see my grandson.
Well, no, they don't think grandparents exist. You see, CPS only recognize the biological mother and father. They don't like grandparents. They don't like seniors. They don't like elders. They don't like families. They don't do family reunification. They don't know how to do it.
Yeah, well, and they hate me because I stand up for myself and
I know they're going to hate anybody that does it. They're picking on your kids because of 2 things. One, there's problems with your son, and also I don't think they have the knowledge of the civil or constitutional rights or know the laws, and they're taking advantage of that. Plus, I think it's also called low income. They hit people low income.
Yeah.
Now, I have a college degree. I'm very intelligent, but I was hit because I lost my job through no fault of my own. And for 5 years, I kept them away. And they kept trying to find something wrong with my family. And when I lost my job, I had a heavy mortgage payment I got to pay every month or I lose my house. So all my money was going to that. I had savings, but I did not have money to hire an attorney until I sold my house. And that was a tragic thing to do, is when you sell your house. But I don't know if they have any other resources or you do, but it sounds like they've already done some bad things that are hard to reverse. They came into your house because your daughter-in-law gave them permission. All right? Nothing to do with anything. See, there's 3 ways they can come in the house. 1, they get permission. 2, there's civil violence going on, meaning that the parents or 2 guys or 2 girls are fighting each other in front of the children, or the children are being strangled or thrown against the wall. They can come in. The 3rd way is that they have a legitimate warrant that's issued by a judge with a wet signature, issued on the days that court is open. If you see a warrant with a date of a holiday or a weekend, then you know it's a bogus warrant. They will lie and cheat and do that. They'll copy other warrants for other people. So it's very important. It's got to have the name of the people that they're accusing, the children's names, the allegations. It's got to have the address, and it's got to have the date and time they can do the investigation and what they can do. Inspect the property, talk to the parents, or take the children. It's got to be on there. And the judge has to sign a wet signature and boss it. I don't think that happened. I think what happened is that this particular agency's Indiana is corrupt of the money situation, because 99% of the cases I hear on here are from corrupt social workers. Now, on my show, have you heard my show before?
Yes, I've watched several of your
All right.
shows.
I've talked about the pink ladies, these social workers that wore pink T-shirts and embraced on stencil on the front of the T-shirts. They're professional child kidnappers. And on the back, do you know where your children are at? Well, that tells you the mentality of these social workers. I know firsthand experience how bad they are. I live in one of the richest places in the country, too rich, and they were just terrible.
Yeah,
On
they
that.
took advantage of my daughter-in-law because she didn't know any better.
Yeah. Now, whoever's trying to call in, I can only take one call at a time. So you
Okay.
got. I'm hanging on to you, but I'm telling the person that is calling in there. So, all right. Are you still with me?
All right. Yeah.
Laura. Okay, for all of your listeners here, Laura is a grandmother, and she's concerned about her young. Is it a boy or girl?
He's a boy.
Okay.
5 years old.
5 years old. She's worried about her grandson, and she's also got a son with special needs, and apparently it looks like the mother is taking advantage of the situation. Is the wife behind your son? Is she 100% being honest with him?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, so you, the son, and your and the daughter-in-law are together.
Yes.
All right, that is good news. Now, you said there was a plan that was made. What does the plan say that the parents have to do?
Well, they had to. A home study person has to come in once a month and make sure that the home's okay, and then they have to do counseling and random drug testing.
Okay, is there any problem with doing that?
Well, the problem now is that they was doing everything they were supposed to be doing, and she got this false positive, and then tried to get a hair follicle that we paid out of pocket for, but the judge wouldn't take it.
Why not?
Said it wasn't admissible in his court.
What did your court-appointed attorney do?
To sit there.
So you asked him, and he did nothing.
No. I mean, and the hair follicle test proved that it was a false positive.
Wow. And there's any chance of getting a real attorney?
Probably, but it would take a while because we'd have to sell stuff and all that good stuff. So it's not going to be like tomorrow.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so now why is the test that CPS given, why is that failing?
We don't know why it came up. It failed.
Have you had another test? Had you had another test?
The one before the failed one, and the one after the failed one were good tests.
Well, then keep taking the tests. It may take 50 tests. Keep doing the plan. Have the home inspection. Keep that part going.
Yeah.
Keep that going. Meanwhile, your grandson is with your mother-in-law, and she can take care of him. You just got to not push anything, and hopefully they will come around. And long as you keep doing that, eventually they'll give back the child.
Yes, and another thing that we're doing is once a month, they're both going to get hair follicles.
Okay.
Just because it's just something else to fall back on.
Well, your insurance company will do it. You just need to do it. I mean.
Yeah. That's what we're working on now. Until the insurance will pick it up and pay for it, we're paying for the hair follicles once a month out of pocket.
How expensive is that test?
$176.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, being low income, you can't ask for a waiver of that fee?
They're on Medicaid.
And
so
it's
we're in the process of talking to Medicaid about it.
okay. Okay.
So hopefully we get some help there with the
Yeah.
test. And then
Well,
that's
I
when
know
you can
that
pay for a lawyer.
if you're low income, you can get a lot of things, like you can get food stamps and Medicaid
Yes.
and stuff like that. So, and you also can get legal help. But the key buzzword you want to use is dependency law. Dependency law, family law, juvenile law, all three wrapped together. That's the area that you're in.
Yes. It's just been a crazy mess.
I know it is, because you see what happens is you got an evil agency,
And evil.
and they are very corrupt, and they're very revengeful. They're very revengeful. I know firsthand. If what I
There's
knew,
kids in this town that we live in that CPS could probably really help them, but they don't go after them. They go after the people that don't deserve it.
I know they go after the wrong kinds of people. I talk about a case. There was a case not too long ago about an Ohio mother that had a 14-month-old child, and she left the child for 13 days in one of those walkers, those things you sit in, and there's activities that they play, and they can scoot their feet around. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she decided to take a vacation, and where her head was thinking, I don't know. But she left her daughter to sit in a diaper for 13 days with very little food and water. And when she came back, she called and she says, my daughter is dead. She doesn't understand why. Well, they found her daughter had been sitting in diapers full of maggot, had E. coli, that the daughter starved to death and deprived of water. She must have gone through torture the first day or two. If you can imagine a 14-year-old child brought in this world. See, children are brought in this world. It's not by choice. They're not the ones. They came in this world because two parents came together and had a child. Now, when the child's brought in this world, it's responsible of both parents to take care of that child, to nurture that child, and to raise that child. If they don't want to take care of the child or nurture the child, then they make arrangements to have that child adopted. Make that child be with some loving people. There are people all the time. And there's two kinds of ways you adopt children. And right now, the easiest way to adopt a child is to go to CPS and use one of their foster care parents. These people get very little training, and right away they can stop adopting children. The other way takes years. It takes screening, and it takes a long time to adopt a child. So it's very sad because the foster care people aren't very good parents. In fact, some of the foster care people have children of their own, and when they adopt the other children or have custody of other children that are not theirs, their children would treat those children bad by hitting them and hurting them and everything else. So I know how corrupt it is. I know it is.
We have there was a case about 30 miles from where we live where this child, which was an infant, was asleep and rats ate him to death.
Oh, God.
And none of the CPS workers, they had a CPS case, and the CPS caseworker was there once a week and never said anything, never removed the child, never got in trouble, and the parents never got in trouble. But there's a baby that was ate to death by rats. It's pretty sickening.
Yeah.
And then the big Kentucky case where the child was found, the parents got arrested on a high chase speed, and they wanted to know, the cops were asking where the baby was. The parents wouldn't tell them because the baby was at their home in the garage in a trash bag, dead, and had been dead for like 2 weeks. And this was a big CPS case.
Wow.
Yeah, that was in Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky is really bad. I agree with what you're saying there.
So, I mean, CPS don't do their job for sure. They rip apart innocent families and leave the kids that need help with no help.
Yeah. Well, I don't have all the answers. I do know that I'm on twice a day. And so you can talk to me 7 days a week, 14 times. I don't mind if you call in every time or just want to just listen in or whatever. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you this. If you stay the course, you will get your child back. It's just they got to put up with a lot of crap, a lot of things that are making your life miserable. But don't make waves. Be polite. Try to get a real attorney or get some legal advice. But it sounds like they're determined. And one of the negative things that you have going is your son with special needs, because they're going to try to say your son is mentally impaired and he can't take care of children. Now, if he's able
that's
to...
what they're doing. They said that because we asked them when they took the baby, why can't, she failed through the test, why can't my son keep the baby in his custody? Well, it's because he has seizures.
Now, my question is, can those seizures be controlled?
Yes. They
now,
are.
Can you get a doctor's report filled
we're
out
going next week
that will say that?
Neurologist.
Also, you need the doctor at court. Just because they write something, by the way, you need always the person that does the tests or does the same to be present in court.
Okay.
That's something that people don't realize because it's hearsay on a piece of paper. The person that attests to it has to be present in court.
Okay.
I know this is stupid. The laws in court are really bad. They're hard to learn. And I tell people, and maybe I should tell about my first rule. My first rule I have is need to get an attorney. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. If you can imagine cutting through the walls of your chest into your chest cavity to pull out the heart and do some work to repair the heart or replace the component, you need a doctor that has gone to medical school, that did an internship, that got a license, that has a mentor for a period of time to work on you. You can't have a plumber or an auto mechanic do open heart surgery. And that's what is what a court-appointed attorney is. He's a plumber. He's equivalent to a plumber or an auto mechanic. You need a professional attorney. And I do have an attorney that produced this podcast. His name is Vincent W. Davis. His company is called Vincent W. Davis Associates. He has lots of attorneys for all kinds of legal help: divorce, bankruptcy, real estate, immigration, workman's comp, the workplace, foreclosure, anything legal matter. He has an attorney for it. The reason I'm bringing him up is right now I've made a special deal with him that he can talk to you for a consultation about your CPS case. Now, he is a dependency trial family juvenile attorney. He has trial experience. He's been doing this for 35 years fighting CPS. He has gotten children back. He also has sued CPS both civil in both the state courts and the federal courts, and he's won millions of dollars. And he'll fight. He's in Southern California in Arcadia, so he had cases in LA, San Bernardino, and he has up in Northern California. He also has a case in Oklahoma. He'll go anywhere. But right now, I got him to offer a consultation for 30 minutes. He will talk to you for 30 minutes, and it's only $60. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. He'll tell you how to navigate in the CPS, because CPS is like Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in a rabbit hole and you've met the Cheshire Cat, and the Cheshire Cat's directed you to all these crazy rooms. CPS is crazy, and you're going to be chasing your tail going nowhere. But Vincent Davis will talk to you, and I got him a special deal for $60. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes. And if you want to retain him, he'll talk about those other fees too. Now, in order to get that special rate or to get a part of that, at the bottom of my window, I have a ticket running that talks about a website you need to go to. So, in order to book a discounted Zoom consultation with Mr. Vincent W. Davis for up to 30 minutes, you have to go to this website, https:// CALENDLY.com/apps APPTS/VWD/Bob Pace BOBPACE, and you book a consultation with him using your credit card, and he'll talk to you for 30 minutes, and it'll be the most worthwhile thing because he'll give you strategies. And if you want to talk about retaining, he'll talk about his retainer. So that is where you need to go there for the special rate. And I already bring that up for all my other listeners, not necessarily you, but everybody listening, is that you need to go to that website, and it's well worth 30 minutes for $60. $2 a minute. And he has all that experience, 35 years, and he knows how to fight CPS. And so he'll be able to help you. He'll be able to help you. And when you do talk to him, if you do talk to him, or someone, your son, and you talk to him or whatever, make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. Bob Pace sent you.
Oh, absolutely, I will.
But I don't know if what I've discussed with you has been informative or not. Is there any other question hanging on that you want me to answer?
No, I just with the guardianship thing.
Well, the guardianship is a separate process. In order to do a guardianship, both parents have to give away their educational and medical rights. So your son doesn't want to sign anything, and your daughter-in-law doesn't want to sign anything. Because if they sign something, they'll give away their rights. You don't want to do that.
Okay.
And you want to encourage them to follow the plan and tell CPS we're following the plan. And if the test tests negative, do another test. You get all positive tests. And complete the inspection of your home once a month. Eventually, they will return the child.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you talking to me.
Oh, Laura, I know and feel for you. I wish I had a magic wand that could make this all be happy for you. What's so sad about the Child Protection Agency is I hear cases twice a day, and it's like they are not very fair. They're not good people. They're not for the best interests of the family. And they take advantage of people that are special need parents or children with special needs. And they take advantage of things like low income or don't have the knowledge of how to fight. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Yes, it is.
And you're dealing with an agency you can't trust. You can't trust them. So it's best to say very little to them. It's best not to talk to them. But you can just say, okay, yes, understood. We will complete that. Fine. Yes, we'll take another test. Because, now my question is amphetamines illegal drugs? Why does someone take amphetamines?
The test came back positive for methamphetamine.
Okay, why does someone take methamphetamines? Does it give you a high?
Yeah.
Okay, so people in this world, listeners now, I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to all the people, not only in the United States, but I'm talking to people around the world. Right now, I have 14 countries that have texted me, so I know that countries are listening. Drugs is illegal. Drugs are not good with raising children. Now, I know this issue about medical marijuana. You know, the states, right now, the federal government does not recognize medical marijuana. So anything that's a federal property, you can't do it. Furthermore, if you're in Colorado, it may be safe, California, but in Indiana, it isn't. So my best words of advice is put away the drug. I know it's hard, but if you're going to have children and have a family, drugs don't mix, just like alcohol or smoking doesn't mix. So, it's just the child needs attention and has its own parents. So,
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And
so the mother, your daughter-in-law has to understand that she's not supposed to take any methamphetamine. I don't care about the high.
But it was a false positive.
Oh, okay.
We proved that with a hair follicle.
Okay.
But the courts wouldn't take the hair follicle.
Oh, okay. Well, unless you get a real attorney, you need an attorney to fight you on that.
Yeah.
Now, the area you live in Indiana, you said, what was the name of the county? Spencer County. So what's the biggest city close to Indiana? Is Indianapolis close to that Spencer County?
We're about 3 hours away from Indianapolis.
Okay, I've been to Indianapolis, and that's why I asked. I've been to Indianapolis.
Yeah, about 3 hours.
Okay.
If you know where Evansville is, we're about 45 minutes from Evansville.
Yeah, I don't know, but wow. I just really, I wish the people out there that social services was there to really do what they're supposed to do and help families. I think one of the reasons why social services has gotten so bad is now we have open borders, which means millions of people now can apply for food, educational, medical, housing, clothing, and even a job by going to social services, which is really hard because it taxes our economy. There's people in different parts of the country, like the Lakota Sioux Indian tribe and Rosebud, which is the lowest income area where people are just desperate need of food and housing and so forth. It's like we just don't take care of our own. We don't seem to take care of our own. And it's sad. It really is sad. And, we do try. I know Faye has written to a newspaper about she's been trying for 12 years to get communication with her daughter, and she just now her case has been opened up. So I know if you persist, it just takes a long time. There are mothers that I've talked to in Oklahoma. One was fighting the Indian tribe there, the Cherokee, because the director of the Cherokee was also the state attorney general, and there's a conflict of interest. So it is hard. It is hard for all you listeners out there. But we have to stay united, and we have to keep doing it. So I need to end my show because my time now is 8 o'clock. I want to thank you, Laura, for spending time with me. I hope that you try to get your grandson back, that you're able to visit with him. Try to listen to what I said, and keep me in touch. Keep me in touch.
I'm going to be fighting for my grandson till the day I die.
Oh, you're a sweet woman. You're a sweet woman. You're a great grandmother, too. Anyway, I got to go. You. God bless all you that are listening. Don't give up. Keep fighting for your children. Please join me tomorrow at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's the time I'm on early because I go to church with my family after the show. So I'm on again tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Pacific